The beginning before the beginning. Did you know that during the first 2 weeks of pregnancy, you're not actually pregnant yet? It sounds strange, maybe even impossible. After all, how can you be 1 or 2 weeks pregnant if there isn't even an embryo yet? But medically, this is exactly how pregnancy is measured. Doctors calculate pregnancy from the first day of your last menstrual period, which means that when your pregnancy calendar says week 1, fertilization has not happened yet. There is no embryo, no heartbeat, no developing baby. But that does not mean nothing is happening. In fact, your body has already started preparing for the possibility of new life. For most women, week 1 begins with menstruation. The uterine lining built during the previous cycle begins to shed. To most people, it feels like an ordinary period. But behind the scenes, a brand new reproductive cycle is already beginning. Inside the ovaries, several tiny follicles start developing. Each follicle contains an immature egg. Over the next several days, one follicle usually becomes dominant and continues maturing. Its job is simple: prepare a healthy egg for ovulation. At this stage, there are usually no pregnancy symptoms, no morning sickness, no food cravings, no positive pregnancy test, because technically, pregnancy has not started yet. However, your body is already preparing for one of the most extraordinary processes it will ever perform. As week 2 approaches, hormone levels begin to change. Estrogen rises and helps rebuild the uterine lining after menstruation. The uterus gradually creates an environment rich in nutrients and blood vessels. An environment that could support a future pregnancy if fertilization occurs. It is almost as if the body is preparing a home before it knows whether anyone will arrive. Meanwhile, inside one ovary, the dominant follicle continues to mature. The egg inside develops and prepares for a single important event: ovulation. In a typical 28-day cycle, ovulation often occurs near the end of week 2. However, every woman is different. For some women it happens earlier, for others, a little later. When ovulation occurs, the mature egg is released from the ovary. The egg enters the fallopian tube and begins its journey. For approximately 12 to 24 hours, it remains capable of being fertilized. And here is something many people do not realize. Sperm can survive inside the female reproductive tract for up to 5 days. This means fertilization does not always happen after ovulation. Sometimes the sperm arrives first and waits for the egg. If sperm and egg meet, fertilization may occur. And at that moment, the very first cell of a new human life can be created. If fertilization does not happen, the cycle eventually begins again. Many people imagine pregnancy begins with a positive test. Others imagine it begins with the first symptom, or the first ultrasound image. But the story actually begins much earlier. It begins with preparation, with timing, with hormones quietly working behind the scenes, and with a body preparing for a possibility it cannot yet see. By the end of week 2, there is still no baby bump, no pregnancy test, and nothing visible to the outside world. But inside the body, everything is ready. The uterine lining has been prepared, the egg has been released, and the stage has been set. Now everything depends on a single moment, a meeting between one egg and one sperm, a meeting that could begin an entirely new life. And in week 3, that extraordinary journey may finally begin, because every pregnancy starts long before anyone realizes it. Sometimes, the beginning comes before the beginning.